This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm good. So we've got a lot to get to today, and I don't know really where you want to start, but I have a feeling that this is that where we're going to start is going to morph into a broader conversation about a number of different things. But we talked about this a lot yesterday and a little bit today about this gift that President Trump is receiving.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
You know, it's one of those stories, Mike, when I first saw it, that, you know, you see the headline and you think, okay, this has got to be,
Sure.
okay, there's got to be something else here, or this is a made-up story or a false name.
Yeah.
And the more I kept reading, I kept thinking, this is true.
Like, so to describe the story, what you're dropping the headline, right, is that Qatar wants to give Donald Trump and the United States citizens, the government of the United States, a $400 million, potentially up to $1 billion plane that we can use as Air Force One, as the other Air Force One from Boeing is being built, right?
Yep.
And then from what my understanding is that the end of that time, it would be given to the Donald Trump library. First of all, I do not believe Donald Trump's a reader. So to have a Donald Trump library kind of seems dumb to me, right? I don't think he's going to be a deep reader. But what pisses me off about this story, Reavers, not the fact that you just cannot accept this, right? You cannot accept a $400 million gift from anybody. I could almost see if they said, hey, while your other plane is being built, you can use this one as Air Force One, and then when your Air Force One is done at Boeing, we'll take it back and we'll lend it to you.
It's a rental car.
It's a rental. Like I think that would be a nice gesture. We'd say thank you, but no thank you. But it would be a nice gesture. What pisses me off about this is all the conservative pundits are saying this is a non-story. This isn't a big deal. It's like bull crap. If Joe Biden did this, we would light Joe Biden on fire. And we'd say he's the most corrupt son of a bitch we've ever seen for doing that. And Donald Trump cannot take this plane. He cannot fly on this plane. He cannot accept a $400 million gift from another country. Period. He can't do it. Right. I don't so much respect a lot of things Donald Trump does, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't hate the man. But I will lose any bit of care for him if he's dumb enough to accept a $400 million gift from a country. It's deplorable.
It's one of those things, too, where you almost wonder, isn't there someone near him saying, Don, we can't do this?
You know why Don wants to do it? Because he loves planes and he wants to have the plane.
Right.
And he wants to fly the plane. He said he won't use it after his presidency. Baloney. He 100% will use it because he wants the best of the best. And he says, hey, it's a gift. Someone's going to give it to me. He's probably rationalizing what he's done for America. I was shot in the freaking head for America. I was almost put in jail for America. I did all this. I can take some $400 million plane.
And Joe made an excellent point on the Garage Logic podcast earlier that hadn't even occurred to me about. They're basically going to have, if in fact they decide to accept this gift, they're going to have to completely disassemble it and then put it back together from a security standpoint.
Sure.
You have to check every nook and cranny of this structure, and it's a massive structure because for security reasons, you can't have the sitting president just all of a sudden occupy a plane that you haven't thoroughly vetted.
Well, we'd have to turn it into Air Force One, so it would have to go through a dramatic change anyways.
Sure.
Right? And, I mean, which would cost hundreds of millions of dollars to do probably. Or, you know, it might not be done for a long time. But Trump wants it. He just wants it. He's like, oh, I'm so important that someone's willing to give me a $400 million plane. And the government of Qatar saying, hey, good, we just bought them for $400. We're one of the richest countries in the world. We don't care. $400 million is nothing to us. Take it, and now we own you. Yeah. Right? And they would own us. And they would own us. It drives me nuts that pundits are saying it's not that big a deal. Here's what will happen, Reavers.
Okay.
80% of the people are going to be excited about what's happening on the border. 80% of us are going to say, hey, good. A whole bunch of people are just randomly coming in. We're deporting people who are breaking the law and not good citizens, right? Committing crimes.
Yep.
We're cleaning up what happened. And then the market's going to bounce back, right? We're going to do a little
In fact,
tariff
we had a good day
change.
today.
Another good day
Mr. Money
today.
Talk,
Good day
yeah.
yesterday, good day today. And so that's going to be off. 80% of the people are going to say, wow, Trump now knows what he's doing with the economy. We're feeling good about that. But then what's going to happen is however many months from now, 1 month or 1 year from now, when we start getting ready for midterm elections, they're going to say that creep scumball took that plane from Qatar for $400 million. We used to have the high ground on that shit. And now if he takes that, we are no different than Joe Biden's son taking it from Burisma. No different whatsoever. And that's where we'll lose the midterm elections because people will rightfully say, screw you, you don't get a $400 million plane.
Yeah.
Period.
You're just going to turn a lot of people.
Guys like me who will be looking at AOC and saying, she's my gal.
I was going to say, it's not going to take much for you, but yes,
I have a great image for the AOC 2028 campaign posters.
Okay.
She's standing there looking all pretty, and I'm standing behind her, and the tagline is, I'm behind AOC, right? And I'm just standing behind looking at her like, just, you know what I'm looking at, right?
Yes,
just
I do.
standing.
Yes, I do.
But the tagline is, or I got your back.
Right.
One of the two. I don't know what it is.
So I did find a Fox News piece talking about gifts throughout the history of time for unusual gifts, I should say, that previous presidents either accepted or declined. And I didn't know, there's some that are kind of interesting. For instance, Abraham Lincoln politely declined a gift of a herd of elephants from the king of Siam, or modern-day Thailand, in 1862, but he kept a sword of costly materials and exquisite workmanship, a photo of the monarch's family, and 2 elephant tusks, according to a letter Lincoln had sent to King, is it Mongkut?
I think so.
So that was back in 1862. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill presented Franklin D. Roosevelt with a painting that he did in 1943. Hollywood actor Brad Pitt bought the work in New Orleans for $2.95 million as a gift for his then wife, Angelina Jolie, who then sold it a decade later for $11.5 million.
Oh, look, it's good return on that.
That's a pretty good return on that investment. Richard Nixon accepted a gift of 2 giant pandas from China in 1972 following the U.S. president's visit to the communist country. Female panda Ling Ling and her male mate Zing Zing were given to the National Zoo in Washington, D.C.
I wonder if Nixon rode those pandas places, because that's all Trump wants to do is ride this plane. Nixon wasn't saying, hey, I'm going to jump on the panda and ride it to Cleveland.
In 1997, President Clinton and wife Hillary received the gift of a handmade rug with their pictures woven
That's kind of neat.
woven into it as a gift from it's not showing
Somebody.
me. Well, yeah, it's not showing me who it was sent from. The 6 by 5 foot rug was completed in a single day by a team of 12 women, according to reports. President George W. Bush received 300 pounds of raw lamb in 2003 as a goodwill gesture from Argentina's then President Nestor Kirchner. He also received a puppy from a Bulgarian president at the end of his presidency. Bush and his wife Laura then bought the 2-month-old German Shepherd named Balkan. Okay. How about this? This is kind of cool. His father, George H.W. Bush, was gifted a Komodo dragon by the president of Indonesia in 1990. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know if those are and I know you're being facetious, those are of a totally different skill.
Oh,
Reavers.
for sure.
I've read a little bit of history. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little history.
Okay.
And numerous presidents would file bankruptcy when they were done serving, right? Because all of their state dinners, if you were the president of the United States way back when, you paid for the state dinner. You paid for your housing inside of the White House. You paid, and presidents would file bankruptcy after becoming president, because they just ran out of money having state dinners. That's how separate it was, right? Where you actually I don't know if I can become president because I might not have enough money to do this. It was a big thing. And that obviously has changed over the years.
Sure.
But many presidents were very poor after they were, Jimmy Carter wasn't a great success before or after, right? And what I don't get is, please God, Donald Trump, tell me that you're not that blinded by a fancy jet that you'd say, I want this jet, period. I need this jet, period. I'm going to take this jet. I don't care what it does to me. I've already become president. I don't care what happens to the conservative side of my party here on after, because I want this jet. I don't get why they say that it would go to the library. What are they going to do? Decommission a $400 million, maybe $1 billion value jet, 4 years old, and let it sit there in a hangar? Or are they going to attempt to fly it around somewhere? And if they start it up and fly it around, they should go to jail. They should 100% go to jail, just like Joe Biden's son, Hunter, should have gone to jail if he was stealing from Burisma, right? Period. That's the problem with us. We are so left and right now.
Polarized, yeah.
So polarized that right pundits can't say this is bullshit. You can't do this, period. They're trying to make excuses for it, and it is just repugnant to me.
It's the whole idea of, it depends on what team you're playing for, right? You've got to show the allegiance to the team that you're either covering or the team that you're voting for. And that's the shame, because nuance has been lost in so many different forms of society where it's like, no, you have to be able to call them like you see them, which is honestly why Joe does a really good job of that.
Yeah,
and honestly why many people get upset with him about various things, especially in relation to politics.
Yeah, a lot people will be mad at me that I'm mad at Trump. They'll be mad at me for this.
For sure they
right?
will.
I don't know what to say about it. You can't take gifts like that. If you worked at Burger King and someone came into you and said, hey, we're your burger supplier. We'd like to give you a $10,000 Rolex. You can't accept a $10,000 Rolex.
What if you're just a part-time high school kid?
Then you could accept a Swatch watch, probably.
Okay.
But you just can't do that stuff. It's an obvious conflict of interest. And it's... We used to have the moral high ground. We used to call a spade a spade. Can you say that anymore? Can you use that term?
I think so.
Okay. We used to just say, that's not right. We're not doing that. And now something's amiss. One thing that's also bugging me, Reavers, let me throw out another thing that's bugging me.
Please, keep going. You're rolling, man.
When every single news organization and every single person that is under Donald Trump in the government says, well, thank you for Donald Trump's leadership. Oh, thank you for our supreme leader's leadership. Thank you so much for his incredible mastery skills of negotiation. It's like everyone's kissing his ass every single second. And I just don't remember that in politics before. I remember some people paying deference to the president. The president had a wonderful plan and it worked. But every single thing they say, every member of his cabinet, without the incredible work from the president, Donald Trump, I wouldn't be able to do this. It's like, how many times do you have to say that before we start feeling like a tin pot dictatorship where if you don't say it, you're out? Right. And if you don't say it, you're banished to the island of nobodies. Right.
Yep.
It really is starting to make me feel uncomfortable. I know he's a thin skinned guy. Right. He needs that affirmations. But boy, is that an ugly, ugly look for him.
Well, it is. And it's almost indefensible.
It's indefensible.
That's I guess the best way to describe it.
I agree.
How about our friends at North American Banking Company? Mike, you're fired up today. I love when Mike gets fired up. North American Banking Company has one philosophy. Hey, if you're trying to save up money to buy a $400 million plane from the country of Qatar, then reach out to my friends at North American Banking Company, because you know what they're going to be able to do? They're going to come up with a plan. And it doesn't matter if you're looking at personal finance, maybe you own a business. My friends at North American Banking Company can offer all of the services as the other big national banks. It doesn't matter whether you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been dreaming about. They will be able to help you out. And right now is a great time to look into some refinancing options and put your home's equity to work. A home equity line of credit from North American Banking Company is going to give you flexible access to funds when you need them most. Whether it's a home project or at the cabin, an unexpected expense, or something else, their experts are going to make it easy. So here's the deal. Go online right now to nabankco.com to learn more. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but the key difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. Once again, it's nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender. The Weekly Scramble. We'll be right back.
You ever watch sports and find yourself wishing there was a way for you to get into the game? Well, you can with Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can now play in your state. It's easy. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. To play, just choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, like strikeouts, touchdowns, points scored, or more. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at baseball, thinking Aaron Judge can go go higher and hitting some home runs. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code GARAGE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with the promo code GARAGE. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Man, you are still fired up.
I am. I thought about an analogy
All
that
right.
really gets me. And I think President Trump wants this plane so bad that he's willing to throw it all away. And I'll give you a really good example. If I was walking down the sidewalk and I saw a wallet and I opened it up and there was $200 in that wallet, I would 100% return that wallet, right? I'd find the person, make sure they got their $200, everything about it. But if I was walking down the street and I found a wallet and there was $30 million in that wallet, I might be able to say, for $30 million, I might
That's a pretty big wallet.
I might try to risk keeping that wallet.
Sure.
Right? And I think Donald is saying this isn't a Rolex watch or a painting or a panda bear. This is something he really wants for $400 million because he doesn't have one of these. He has a plane and I think he might even have the same model plane, but not set up like this one. Right? So this is his $30 million wallet on the ground find where he's like, you know what? If I ever get caught, so what? At least I have the $30 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I don't know. It's so cheesy.
And apparently, because he's in the Middle East right now, apparently this news wasn't supposed to come out until after this meeting over in the Middle East.
Okay.
That's taking place currently. So either he opened or blew the lid on this, opened his mouth, or somebody else connected to him did, maybe in an attempt to get out in front. I have no idea why, but it's just it's pretty funny.
Yeah, do you think someone's trying to help himself? Like someone in his team
to watch the reaction?
Yeah, Donald, Mr. Trump, we're not going to do this.
We can't do this.
Actually, no one says that to Donald Trump. No one does.
That's true.
I just have a strange feeling. By the way, no one said that to Biden because if they did, he'd say, applesauce. Like it just doesn't matter, right? But they're both maniacal guys that think they're the best.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. And
AOC 2028.
You probably have to have that mindset when you're going to run for office at that level,
especially when someone's shooting at you.
All right, I want to bring this story up because it rookie of all people is the one that raised the most interesting point about this, and I want to get your perspective on this. But early this morning, organizers of Farm Aid, an annual festival that raises funds to help family farmers, announced that they will be performing for the first time ever in Minneapolis later this year. The event will be held on Saturday, September 20th at Huntington Bank Stadium, right here at the U of M. Organizers say Minnesota has been a groundswell of strength in the farming movement, adding that the state has championed rural advocacy, sustainable and equitable agriculture, and forward-thinking policy reform. Willie Nelson, as well as Neil Young and John Mellencamp, put together a show for farmers back in 1985 after Nelson heard Bob Dylan speaking at Live Aid. According to event organizers there, Dylan spoke about how land values plummeted and also soaring interest rates. The first ever Farm Aid concert raised over $7 million for family farmers in the United States. Nelson, who founded Farm Aid, now serves as its president and said Minnesota is an ideal host. For 40 years, Farm Aid and our partners have stood with farmers, supporting them to stay on their land, even when corporate power, bad policies, and broken promises make it harder to keep going. This year, we're proud to bring Farm Aid to Minnesota to celebrate the farmers who sustain us and to fight for a food supply that works for all of us. Family farmers aren't backing down, and neither are we, said Nelson in a statement on Tuesday. And then it's got the list, and it's a pretty impressive list of performers that are going to come this year. But we mentioned Live Aid with Bob Dylan, and that was for... basically, the event was created to help solve famine in Ethiopia.
Yep.
And it, I believe, raised about $40 million. And I'm not. This is not me ripping Farm Aid whatsoever.
Sure.
I want to make that very clear. My entire family, my grandparents, my both of my parents, everyone I'm connected to came from a farm, and basically so did I. But Rookie raised a great point. So Live Aid had about $40 million. to help fight famine in Ethiopia. And Rookie said, How'd that work out?
Yeah, how'd that work? Right?
You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm not disputing the fact that but it's the layers of, well, everyone's got to get their taste first before it finally, goes to the people it's geared towards.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a funny line.
Great. You're doing something great for the farmers, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want any of the farmers at the concert. You know why?
You want them working?
Well, because the concert's in September. What do farmers normally do in
harvest
September?
Season, yeah.
Right? They're not going to a concert in the Twin Cities. So this isn't meant for concerts. This is meant for a bunch of Minneapolis kids. Half of them will be wearing masks that want to go here and support farmers. Great. Good. That's fine. Let's support some farmers. I wonder when I broke down where do farm aid funds go, right? I'm looking at the thing where a lot of grants, educational programs, and then here's the one that I think is really interesting. Policy advocacy. So you know what that means?
Bureaucrat.
They're giving it to politicians.
Yeah.
They're like, we need to make sure that soybeans are not sent over from Guatemala, so we're going to have to pay this senator some money. It's all about a money grab for everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Every single thing is. And it does, because it started, Michael, I don't know if you know this or not, but I do a lot of rural driving because baseball season is officially kicked off at the Reavers household. So it's every day. Either one of my sons has a game or the team I'm associated with has a game, but I love it, right?
Sure.
This is what I do. I work and I baseball. That's the only two things I do, whether it's my kids or me or whatever, right? And so over the weekend, I had to do a lot of driving because Mother's Day. I went down to go see my folks, and my oldest son, had a 1 day baseball game down in La Crescent, Minnesota.
La Crescent,
which is for us, it was about a 2-hour, 2:20 drive.
Are you kidding?
Each way.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a long way for who set that up? Who set that up?
No. I'm glad they did because it was like an all-day event. So the varsity team got to play, the JV team got to play, all the various
even
grades.
Better. You're stuck there all damn day.
Well,
who set that up? Who in Jordan, Minnesota, sets up a game 2 hours away to steal your whole entire weekend?
I loved it though.
My God, it's stupid. Someone's stupid.
No, it was fun.
I'd be so pissed. I'd be pissed because if your kid doesn't show up, then the coach is like, "Oh, you're not committed to this sport."
No, but here's the best part about that day: there wasn't many parents that made the trip.
No shit. I wonder why.
No, but they rented coach buses for all the boys.
All right, that's
so
cool.
you could put your kid on the bus
and say, "See you later,"
and I'll see you this afternoon or whenever you guys decide to get home. So it wasn't like they forced a bunch of parents to drive down there.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, I said, "Well, buddy, do you want?" He goes, "No, I want to ride the coach bus because they're always
fun.
on a school bus, a rickety school bus when they're driving to their games or whatever."
We had my kids were in volleyball and they played at Northern Lights volleyball, right? And kids who were training at Northern Lights would drive over 2 hours to train every day. I mean, it was like 4 days a week or whatever. And I thought, wait, what? You're driving in 2 hours, one way.
And then we saw the just terrible story at Eden Prairie over the weekend. Did you see this story?
I think where someone got killed.
No, it was just a huge fight at a. I don't know if it's AAU. I don't remember the exact name of the league, but these are all like a showcase event for really good high school kids from all over the place, and it's. Parents, it's just people can't control themselves.
What sport?
It was basketball.
Okay.
And I just thought, my God, can't we just get a grip on things? I mean, I get a little excited when I watch my kids play, but I never say anything negative.
You never want to run out there and just pile drive.
No,
yeah, because you're not an insane person.
Well, that and you've got to set an example, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if I'm there as a parent or as a coach. You don't talk to the ref, you don't talk to the umpire. You got it because your kids, your players are going to do the exact same thing that you are.
Lifetime bans. If you get up and walk out onto the court and you scream, even if you don't touch anybody, if you're at a basketball game and you get up and you're pissed and you walk out onto the court. Lifetime ban. See you later.
Yeah.
You're not mature enough to be here.
And this is parents of kids that are playing sports right now or people that are involved in sports right now are going to understand this. It's become so hard to find people to umpire baseball games. I can't tell you. I get 6 texts a week from various people about, hey, can you ump this game? Hey, can you ref this game? We're desperate. We need people. And I usually, because I'm so busy, I can't.
Sure.
Because I've got a job. I've got kids. I've got.
You don't just throw out there, drop me 5 dimes and I'll come down.
Honestly, if I did have time, if I had more free time, I 100% would do it. Because when I ump, I say, I'm not dealing with anything. I said, I'll talk to you, and I will talk to you. If I hear from anybody else, we're going to have an issue.
Yep,
and then you just squash it right away.
Sure.
And then if you'll do a good job, and you should avoid most issues. But it's and I'm not ripping any other officials or umps or anything like that, because I know a million of them that do this. And I couldn't imagine like doing a high school football game and just getting berated by some drunk dad in the stands. Bleep that. I'm not dealing
why
with
would
that
you
crap.
do that? And I think those games can be pretty good money for those refs.
Oh, for sure
But they have to be.
In fact, when I was still living in the Chaska area, we had a neighbor, and his son went to school with my son, and he was reffing like college football,
Sure.
like big time. He and his buddies would drive to Missouri, and they would drive all over the place. And he said it's really good money.
Oh, yeah.
And he's big, so it's like no one's going to mess with him,
Sure.
right?
And college is a little different, right? You're separated from the fans.
A little bit, but he said the coaching is a little bit more intense because
Sure.
these coaches are
Trying to get
oftentimes
up.
trying to move up the ladder, so there's a lot of stress
But
in
they're
those
professionals.
situations. Yeah. Oh, but the thing I was going to mention is in my rural routes, speaking of going back to farming now, it's happened where, when I do the weird thing where I like to drive through the country and watch the tractors and the combines
Sure.
and everything. It's already started.
Is it? Oh, they're
well,
doing
it's
it right
planting
now.
season.
Yeah, it's planting
season. So.
And then Farm Aid will happen September something, where all farmers were going to be busy. They don't want to go to some stupid concert.
They're going to be at a combine somewhere.
And then they're going to say, hey, we had a lot of rain here in Minnesota. We need some of that money. And they're like, I'm sorry, it's going to go for advocacy. So to help the
really
environment
appreciate
later
your
on.
service.
Yeah, thank you. And by the way, that ticket was $340 for that concert.
His name is Mike Fratellotti. My name is Chris Reavers. This is the Weekly Scramble podcast, and we will be right back. I don't know if you can feel the excitement in the air.
I can.
If you can feel it just building, because it's a big week.
Oh, is it?
It is, because on Thursday, and you are going to make fun of me, and that's totally fine.
Oh, no.
The boys and I are going to sit down and watch the NFL schedule release.
Are they having a show for that?
Mike, not only will there be a show of the unveiling of all the schedules, there is a pre-show to kind of set up the hot rumors that are surfacing.
Like, who's going to play in Amsterdam this year?
And I got to imagine that there's going to be a post-show recap where you almost have a fan line where people can call in to give them their hot takes about, man, I can't believe that the Vikings, there was a big announcement this morning where the Vikings are going to play not one, but two games overseas back-to-back weeks.
Really?
So I hope I have this in the correct order, and I don't remember what weeks they're going to be, but they're going to Dublin to play Pittsburgh, and then the following week they're playing Cleveland in London, I think. But they're going to do back-to-back weeks, so they're the first team ever to do back-to-back weeks.
Well, that game in Ireland against Pittsburgh, the Vikings are going to win. In fact, I'm probably going to Dublin my bet down.
Really? We should go. We should take the show on the road.
No. I mean, I'd love to go to England. I'd love to go to Dublin. I've never been to either place, but and it would be fun to see a game there, right? That would be kind of cool. I wonder what the Wilfs. What do they get paid to do that?
Well, it depends. So these are technically two road games for the Vikings.
Oh, really?
So they're not
Okay.
giving up a home game, which is why I'm sure they agreed to do it.
Sure.
Because
Otherwise, why would you?
They're not losing a home game. And playing a team on a neutral site is an advantage for the road team.
Absolutely.
For obvious
Yeah.
reasons.
We won't need it.
And that's true. And in fact, I heard this somewhere, so I apologize. I don't know exactly who to give it credit for, but the Vikings really travel well overseas. Well, that's a pretty big fan base,
Yeah,
and it's a pretty
absolutely.
loyal fan base. But whenever they go to, because they've routinely played the Jets last year in
London, I think.
Was it London?
I think
Okay,
so.
but they routinely travel very, very well when they go overseas.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I can't remember. But
I can't remember where they played the
is
Jets
kind
last year.
It would be kind of fun to travel with the team. Ooh, we're going to play the Cleveland Browns. You know who they have?
Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders.
That's your third least favorite
That's
Sanders.
my third least favorite Sanders, but he might be there, and then maybe he could make an international. He can do something international to piss people off, right?
Right.
Or he could play and just light us up. How fun would that be?
That would be cool.
The Browns could really have a winner with that Shedeur. Good for them.
So
Browns.
you don't want to then on Friday, or on Thursday, you
Take
don't
off.
You don't want to do the let's break down each and every to the point where I don't know if you've ever heard this story. So back when I was still doing the radio show with Royce, the Ride with Royce in the afternoon, every year we would do, because everyone likes to do their mock draft,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Well, I did a mock schedule.
Oh, good.
For it was at least 5 straight years.
Sure.
To the point where it would get picked up by other like reporters. Because what happened was the first time I did it, and I was still working with Pellicero retweeted it. So people thought it was legit because it came from Tom, and Tom's a legit reporter, right? And I remember going, "Why am I getting retweeted from like the ESPN account and stuff like that?"
Funny.
It was pretty funny, but I would get certain because it's basically the reason I like it because I'm a huge nerd is it's one gigantic math equation, right?
Okay.
The way you look at it because they usually. Have to balance, home away. That doesn't always happen that way. And then for common opponents, you always the last 2 weeks is usually always divisional games, because they want those games to mean something. So it's kind of an easy way to figure out. Well, the last 2 games they're either going to play Green Bay, Chicago, or Detroit. Yeah, that's just pretty much how it's always going to be. So anyway, and that's the same for each division, right?
Are we gambling on this yet?
I can't imagine that they're not.
I mean, is it like...
We gambled on who the new pope was going to be for crying out loud.
Which was cool, by the way. I didn't tell you this Pope story. Let's finish the story, then let me tell you the Pope story. But what's interesting about this, the gambling facet, it would be like having the Sweet 16 or the 64,
the NCAA bracket,
the NCAA bracket, because you could build a bracket with all of the teams and just see how close you get. Right?
Well, that and you start to cross off the list. Okay, you already know because it's always predetermined. And it was easier when it was 16 weeks as opposed to 17 because now there's a random game thrown in. But you always knew who your opponents were going to be. Okay. And if you were going to play them at home and away, right? Because you play your same division, each at home and each on the road, right? Yep. So that part was easy because you already knew the opponents. Well, then it came down to you start to see leaks. Hey, I'm hearing Pittsburgh's going to London on week 7 or whatever. So, okay, well, you can start doing the math. Like, well, the Vikings play both Pittsburgh and Cleveland this year, and they've already announced that those 2 teams are going to be playing overseas. So it comes down to things like that, too.
On your Twitter account, do you see tweets of people leaking that stuff? And do you not just instantaneously block that tweet and say, why are you showing me this crap?
No, I love it.
Really? You keep it?
I love that stuff.
Oh, my God. That's so deep. I applaud you for being so into it. That's really, really cool. Okay, I'm going to jump to my Pope story.
Give me one quick second because there's the reason I wanted to bring up the NFL schedule release over the weekend. It's WMTV Channel 15 News, a CBS affiliate, I believe, out of Milwaukee, that put a they'll have the screen grab of the news story that has a photo, and then you click on that for the entire story on their website, right? So they had that, and it says. The station put out the tweet and it says 14 different nurses at the same Green Bay hospital are pregnant at the exact same time. And this person beat me to it and said, and I retweeted it, says, did I just miss the Packers traded for Tyreek Hill?
Oh, gosh.
Which that made me LOL. For those of you that don't know, Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill, I believe while he was married and his wife was pregnant, also had 2 different girls pregnant at the same exact time. I believe he has 11 children.
I think he's a prolific lover is what they call that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
God bless him. We need to have more babies. He can pay for them, right?
He can.
Him and Aunt Edwards, go ahead, have some babies.
Yeah.
$2 million a pop.
I had said after the Wolves' big victory, I told Joe, we were just chatting about the Timberwolves off the air, and I said, God help the Twin Cities if this team wins the NBA title, because Anthony Edwards will celebrate and do
run amok is what they will call that.
Yes, he will.
Good for them. They're playing well.
That was a fun game. I actually stayed up for the whole game last night. The little guy and I, my oldest said, "I'm tired. I'm going to bed." I'm around halftime, and the little guy said, "I'm staying up, Dad." So we both fell asleep on the couch. I made it to the end. He cashed out in like the late third, early fourth quarter.
Fun.
So it was fun.
It's a big deal. So I am excited for them. I hope we can keep going. That would be really great.
I just wish we could get a start time that wasn't 9 p.m.
Yeah,
that'd be
absolutely. But speaking of sex, I wanted to talk about the Pope. I don't know if you saw this, and maybe you did because you're a prolific social media person.
All right.
But there was a girl FaceTiming her mother right? And she was FaceTiming her mother talking about the new Pope pick.
All right.
And she's watching it with her mother, and they're on FaceTime, and she's recording it. And then the Pope, I'm forgetting his last name, Provost, I'm forgetting what the new Pope's name was picked. And the girl starts screaming, and she says, "Oh my God, my mother lost her virginity to the Pope when she was 19. And she's like, "Mom, you've slept with the Pope." And the mom is like besides herself. So when the mom was 19 years old, she dated the Pope. And
Robert Prevost
lost her virginity to the Pope when she was 19. And the girl the daughter was howling at the story like, "Oh my God, Mom, your ex-boyfriend, who is now the Pope of the world, of the Catholic Church, with the one Pope, this gal's mother had dated him when she was 19. What a story. Isn't that funny?
That is crazy.
Because, he doesn't have to be abstinent then, right? He wasn't a priest then.
Sure.
He was just a kid, going
he's
to
allowed
maybe
to do whatever
seminary. He's allowed to do it. And have you seen the photos of him like behind home plate at White Sox games?
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's really cool. But I think it's way cooler that he's had some life experience, right? And then I kind of looked at it and I said, that woman should be so proud. Like how exciting that is. She
could put that on her resume.
Yeah. But at the same time, do you think after that experience, the Pope said, "That's it? I'm gonna
become a priest.
I'm gonna give my life to Jesus." I mean, was it that bad? Because I know my wife finds me sexy. Still to this day, I know she finds me sexy.
Really?
Reavers, every time I walk past her in the house, she says, "What an ass." Get it? What an ass.
You do have a nice ass.
I thank you. I don't think that's what she means.
Thank you, Michael.
Reavers, because I think we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
This was a fantastic show.
It really was.
I swore too much. I'm trying not to do that.
You were really I love when you're fired up, though.
But I
really
have to
do.
apologize. I'm going to try to tell me on Facebook if I'm on the Frat Pack if I'm swearing too much. I'm not trying to.
That's right. That's the one thing I was going to bring up.
Oh, yeah, something good on the Frat Pack.
Well, I forgot to mention the Frat Pack.
Yeah, just find me on Michael Fratelloni on Facebook. Befriend me. I'll invite you to the Frat Pack page. I think it's really cool. I'm getting some stickers for my car, Reavers, that say Frat Pack 5000.
Are you really?
Yeah, with a little Facebook emblem.
Oh,
so
cool.
people will look. I'll get you some for your car, too.
Yeah, please do.
So then people will know to drive us off the road.
And it's kind of neat, too, because people are checking in with photos from all over the place, including there was a lot of guys watching the hockey games all over the country and all, which I think is cool because I like seeing photos of neat pubs all over the place because when you're traveling, you just want to kind of get in a little bit of the local flavor. And I always say, if I'm checking at my hotel, I say, I want the coolest dive bar that's within walking distance, right? Like just give me a cool spot where I can go in, have a pint, maybe a burger or whatever, and just kind of soak in the flavor. And
you want it to be named like Three Finger Rick or something like that. You want it to be a weird thing.
Yeah, I want it to be a weird name. I think that's cool. So
yeah, and then the host or the person, the concierge always says, "We have an Applebee's." And you're like, crap. Although Applebee's is great. But Reavers, I will buy you that drink sometime, and I will get you that sticker for the Frat Pack 5000 because you are the best.
Thank you, Michael. Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. It helps other people find the show, and it helps us out as well, and we truly do appreciate it and you for listening to the show. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this episode of the Weekly Scramble podcast. We will talk to you again next time, and until then, cheers. Time once again to check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again here in Garage Logic, and now is the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. When you call that number, you're going to get Josh, and he is there for you for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice, and he is on the line with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And boy, Josh, it was another pretty good day on the NASDAQ today, wasn't it?
Another pretty good day, Chris, on the NASDAQ. Not so good a day on the Dow, but technology shares have been leaders the past several days, and they took a big jump on the suspension. I have to say suspension of tariffs or major tariffs between China and the U.S. On Monday, when the two sides to agree to reduce significantly the tariffs, at least for 90 days. Chinese goods coming into the United States would be tariffed at 30% and not at 145%. Tariffs or product going from the U.S. into China would be tariffed at 10% instead of 125%. And both sides agreed to continue talking. Additionally, China would start taking more U.S. Agricultural products, a big plus for U.S. farmers, and the U.S. would get rare earth minerals, a big plus for manufacturing, particularly of semiconductors and batteries, as China is one of the largest sources for rare earth minerals, though there are significant, not so rare earths, but significant ore deposits of nickel and copper in northern Minnesota that have been found. But to get some of those out of the ground or other rare earths in other parts of the U.S. is going to take significant amount of time to get, we'll say, operations up and running. But this trade, we'll say and we'll call it suspension of major tariffs between the U.S. and China is a very big deal. Now, I have stated on a continual basis that I am not a tariff guy. The tariffs that had been proposed were not reciprocal. They were punitive, and there are many countries that are trying to cut, we'll say, better and or fairer trade deals with the United States that eventually, should these deals be, completely consummated, will definitely help the U.S. In terms of fairer trade, and will serve to boost at some point our economy. But the China-U.S. deal gave a huge boost to technology shares, and particularly semiconductors, which have led the move up. I do caution on semiconductors. Even some of the leaders like NVIDIA, because they are more cyclical in nature, and demand, even as demand increases, there's still a limit to that. So just be careful there. On the other hand, software companies that are going to benefit from the, we'll say, use cases for artificial intelligence, I think they're going to have a huge lead. I have favored a very expensive company, both on a price-to-sales and price-to-earnings basis, called Palantir, which we've talked about previously. Over the past couple of days, that has hit a new high. But again, caution because of its expense and some of the volatility around the name. Other companies that have been doing well with this lower tariff situation is Taiwan Semiconductor, which is still the leading semiconductor manufacturing on a worldwide basis, and they've been putting significant amounts of investment into the United States to manufacture chips. So I still continue to favor technology-related companies and would not hesitate to overweight that area. It also would benefit us as the tax bill works its way through both the House and Senate, and should the 2017 Tax Act get continued, that to me would also be a very significant plus for the market in general. I'm not going to say remain cautious, but I do, recommend still keeping a, significant amount of money in cash, both for safety and for opportunity, because with any fast move up, there typically is going to be some, we'll say, pullback, going forward. And one last thing, which could be part of this new tax act or introduced separately, is a very interesting concept put through by Brad Gershner, a hedge fund manager of Altimer Capital, and Senator Ted Cruz. The idea being to, I'll say, for the government to seed, as in SEED, $1,000 per newborn child, an account, in an investment account, we'll say, in the S&P 500. And this account can be added to by parents or grandparents, friends and neighbors, as a way to for the newborn to accumulate capital and participate in a growing economy. I think this is a very interesting idea, and it is a way for individuals to build wealth, even with small amounts of capital to start out. So there you go.
Excellent.
That's some of the news of the day.
Excellent advice, as always, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now is the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And you do that just like I did by dialing 952-925-5608, where you always get straight talk and never, ever sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.